This is the Penman shaft. Penman mine and shaft. It's the easternmost shaft to the Penman mine. It's EC0116. There's a series of adits going on to the west from here on out in this direction that we're looking downhill basically. This is the shaft to the east. It's completely collapsed. There's some bit of timbering and lumber and stuff in the bottom there, but it's basically gone. We're looking at a rail that's coming out of a small adit that's right associated with this, just barely to the east of the shaft. You can see it going back in there. It's not too significant, I don't think. There's no water running out of it, and the rails go in, but I can't really tell what the dump does. But you can see the caved in area that's associated with the collapsed adit. And we're not going to concentrate too much on that one. There's appears to be two shafts at this site. Again, here's the southernmost of the two. There's a little septum there, and then there's another shaft over here. We'll get a better look in a minute. It's not very deep, and I don't know if it truly was a shaft or not. It's just a collapse feature maybe, but we'll get another look at that. This is the northern of the two shafts. It's I don't think it's all that significant as far as how deep it goes and such. It may be. There's again a little septum between the two. The southern one we just looked at there, and the dump going on out away from there, away from basically both shafts. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Again, here's the second one. They have a little bit of hog wire around it on this one side, just to kind of, as a safety feature, I suppose. It doesn't amount to much. You could fall in between there easily. Here's the road that comes up here from the north from about the Homestake mine, or just barely south of the Homestake mine. We'll take a look at the dump for the Penman here. Here we're looking back to the east at the upper Penman shaft. This is the dump for the shafts. It's not all that big. It's maybe about 15 feet deep. It's on a very steep hill here. It goes down to the west into this extremely deep trench or chasm of such. I think it's probably one of the lower adits that are to the west that's collapsed. It goes quite a ways down the hill to the west. I haven't been down there. We'll get a view of this back up towards the east when we get down to look at those other adits. But this is a fairly substantial trench or what have you. But this will be it for the upper shaft. For the Penman EC0116, we'll move down to another adit to the west. We're looking back to the west, or to the east of the towards the Penman shaft, that upper shaft that we just came from. This is that trench or collapsed adit or whatever it is that was just below it, that I showed from above. Just wanted to give a perspective from this end. It pretty much ends right here. It's only about 50 feet long. Goes up into the bedrock, and then just basically goes right to the edge of those two shafts. So we'll go down and look at the adits. This is the easternmost adit for the Penman mine, EC0116. We're looking basically right into the portal there. You can see just above that large rock there is an opening. We'll get a little better view of it. You can see out here in the front, possibly there's mine rails exposed there. When we get up inside there, you'll be able to see rails going back in, but So we'll take a look at that. We're looking around back to the north. This is a road coming from the Homestake mine, which we've been to. So we'll go up in, look inside the open portal. Here we're looking inside the open portal to the eastern Penman. You can see the rails in there going back. Can't really see how far it goes back in there. It looks like it's caved back a ways, but we won't go in and find out for sure. But we'll take a look at the dump now. It's quite a large dump. Get a view of that. So this is here we're looking south from just outside the portal of the eastern Penman Adit. This the dump going on out that way. It goes about 40 feet out this way, and then the bulk of the dump is on out here straight away from the portal. We'll get down and look on the face of it. It's kind of hard to get a good perspective of it. It's a fairly large dump. We'll get down on the face and take a look and see that. There we're standing on the face of the dump. The slope distance is probably about 80 feet. We're looking down in about where the tree starts, the end of the dump. You can get a fairly good feel for how steep the face is. It goes about another 30 feet beyond me, 40 feet beyond me, and then it wraps around the hill a little bit. But it gives a good perspective of it. Can't really see much when you get down in the trees looking back up at it, but we'll give it a shot. Here we're down below the dump, looking back up towards where we've just come from. Kind of get an idea again how big the dump is. It's fairly good sized, 80 feet or so on the slope there. And we'll just get a bit of perspective from down below here, and then that will be it for the easternmost adit. We'll go on down the hill to the west and pick up the rest of them. Here we're looking at a large collapse that's just about 10 feet, 15 feet north of the adit we've been just looking at. It's fairly deep, about 20 feet at this point, and you can see it goes around up in, and it goes to basically nothing up above there. But the reason that the collapse, that there's no dump on the outside of it. There's nothing below essentially where I'm standing. So I think that there must have been a crosscut from the portal into that, and then it just stoped to the surface or collapsed. It's a fairly substantial feature here. So this will be it for this adit. We're looking at the second of the adits for the Penman mine. It's EC0116. This is the next one on the map to the west. Looking at it's completely collapsed. You can see there's a stream of water coming out. Pretty good stream of water. Comes out into a kind of a mossy little boggy area there. Goes along, kind of parallels the dump. It's a pretty substantial flow. I figure 5+ gallons a minute. Again, it parallels the dump. It just works its way in, soaks in, kind of crosses the dump back up in the distance there, and a little bridge across the the stream. Just work finally gets over there and goes and it percolates down through the dump. I never found a seep coming out of it. This much water, there probably is something, but it pretty much disappears. We'll go down and look at the far end of the dump as it goes away. It's about 150 feet long to the south. We'll get a look at that. Here we're looking to the south, down the dump, away from the portal. Here's the stream that we were looking at and the little bridge across it. There's a part of a tin shed that's mostly collapsed back in there right on the edge of the dump. We're looking right down the axis of the dump. It kind of disappears into the trees back there. That's about the end of it. To get a kind of a perspective of how high it is, it's on a very steep hillside. We're looking down the side of the dump itself. We're down at, that's the number 3 portal or adit that I have on the map. We'll get down to it. That's probably about 100 feet vertical from us right here. You can see the rail cars going out over the edge. So it's quite a steep slope here. We got the dump pretty much just goes off the side this way, but a bulk of the material works its way down out into the trees in this direction. And once it gets into the trees there, it's very difficult to see very much of it, so we won't go down and spend a lot of time on it. We'll just concentrate on the area up here. This is a portion of the collapsed mill at the Penman. The upper part of it is right on the road that's at the level that the number 2 adit is at. It's hard to get a decent perspective of it from maybe below at the number 3 adit. We could maybe see back up at it, but this is just a portion of it looking to the northwest. There we can get another view of the mill at the Penman. You can see back down about where I was looking before. Here's the level where it starts, right on the road that comes in here from the Dixie or Grand Road. There's another building down the road there. It's almost falling into the road itself. There's a couple more on down the way there. We won't go down and bother looking at those. They have, I don't think, any real relevance to our problem here. So we'll go down and get a look at the number 3 adit and then work our way on down to the 4th one. There is a 5th one that shows on the map that's somewhere in the vicinity of between this road and an upper one that intersects right where I'm at. I haven't been able to find it. I searched for it a bit. I'm not going to spend any more time looking for it. But that there is 5 shown on the map. I'm only going to look at 4 of them. This is the number 3 adit at the Penman mine, EC0116. We looked at this from above, looking basically right up top of this dump up above is the dump for the number 2 adit. This is the dump that we saw from above. You can see the mine rails coming out, curving across the dump and going out into space there. It's about 50 feet from the portal out there. The dump is not all that big, it doesn't appear. We're looking kind of south on it now. It's on a very steep slope, so the dump spreads out in quite a big area. We'll look down the slope. It goes, well, obviously down to the trees there, probably into the trees several hundred feet, I would say, 150 anyway. Large rocks going all the way down. We'll get another perspective of it on the other side of the rails. Here we're looking down the dump from the end of the rails. They go out over space there, down very steep slope, almost into that creek we can hear in the distance, but it doesn't reach the creek. It's quite a large dump, but it's spread out over such a huge area because of the steep slope. We'll go back, look back at the portal itself. The portal is open. It appears open quite a ways back. We'll go in and get a look at just inside that overhang and see what it looks like. We're looking inside the portal of the number 3 Adit at the Penman. You can see there's quite a flow of water. I estimate around 10 gallons, maybe a little more a minute. You can see back in there a ways. It is quite open. Well, you might not be able to see really very well, but it is open back there a ways. And with this much water flowing through there, it probably is open back a bit. So this will be it for this adit. We'll go look at the mill that comes down to right at this level, and then that will be it for this. This is the mill building at the Penman mine. We saw the upper portion of it up where it's fairly held together fairly well up above there, is where we were standing before looking down on it. Couldn't see very much of it. It's for the most part collapsed. The upper part there is the only part that the ore bin was the only part standing fairly good. This is just barely to the north of the number 3 adit we just came from. So this will be it for the number 3 adit at the Penman, EC0116. We'll go down and find the number 4 adit. We're looking at the 4th adit, the lowermost, farthest to the west adit at the Penman mine, EC0116. You can see it's completely collapsed. There's a little bit of timbering sticking out on the collapsed portal part. But other than that, it's completely closed. There's a fairly decent stream coming out of it. I sampled it right up, right close to where it comes out of the rocks there. Comes out underground. It goes across straight out the dump, goes down, then it about in here it dies out and goes into the dump itself and down through the rock slide. I never could find where it came out down below the rock slide. There probably is a seep down there someplace, but I never traced it, and it got below it. I never could find it. Just dissipates. It probably comes out in several separate little streams below. So Homestake Creek is down below, and I don't think that it really reaches it in any significant amount, so I never sampled above or below where it would have reached it. But it kind of dies out going down through the rock slide. So we're looking to the south here. There's a fairly decent tin shed built on right at the end of edge of the dump, and a few mine rails coming out of it, miscellaneous pipe and such inside. It's a pretty decent building, just barely to the south of the portal itself. Well, there's another wood structure to the north of here, just before you get to the dump and the portal. We'll take a look at that, and then that will be it. This is a partially collapsed wooden structure on the road just before you get to the to the number 4 adit of the Penman, the westernmost adit. As you can see, the road going up there, there's the tin shed that we looked at before. This building is partially collapsed. The roof is pretty well caved in. It's tilting down off the side. It's got quite a bit of lagging down below it to hold it up. It's in pretty good shape, really, but it is collapsing. This we'll go look at the dump at where it comes out of the portal, and then that will be it. Here we're looking west down the face of the dump. I'm standing right on the lip of where the dump goes down off the hillside. It's a very steep slope, down 30-40% slope. It scatters quite a long distance down the slope. I don't believe it ever reaches Homestake Creek, which is down in the draw below us. It is a fairly large dump considering, but it does scatter quite some distance, 100+ feet down the slope. So this will be it for the Penman Mine EC0116.